everyone. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the StackLeague Angular Philippine Tech Session. I'm Casey Kalunod, and I will be your host for tonight. We have an amazing resource speaker for the session tonight who will share with us all about Angular on cross platforms. But before anything else, we'd like to give you an overview of StackLeague, especially if this is your first time to join us here at a StackLeague event. Everyone, please help me welcome Mr. King Bartolome, our growth associate.
Thank you, Casey, for that introduction. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is King Bartolome, one of the growth associates in StackTrek. Tonight, I will be presenting a brief introduction to StackLeague. StackLeague is the Philippines' first year-round competitive programming league with its mission to develop programming leaders to inspire a nation into coding. StackLeague is powered by StackTrek's fully automated talent analytics and assessment platform to which StackLeague will then gather of thousands of IT students and professionals to compete and rank amongst the best programmers in the country. One might wonder, Sir King, what are the benefits that we can leverage when we join StackLeague? StackLeague, which was launched last March 16, is a pioneering programmer league gathering over 5,000 tech talents across the country to test their coding acuity with the promise of nationwide recognition, thousands of prizes, hundreds of tech job opportunities, and invitation only events. But wait, there's more. We also have whopping cash prize from 200,000 pesos. The cash prize is now at 300,000 pesos and it continues to increase. Of course, Stock League wouldn't be possible without our partners. We have JobStreet, Microsoft, Workbank, Viber, Accenture, Inquire.net, and many more. We'd also like to thank our community partners who helped this league reach as many programmers in the country as possible. Moving forward, for those who are new at Stack League, this is how the ranking system works. You will start at the bottom with 0 points. You solve as many challenges as you can and earn points. The more points you get, the higher your ranking goes, the more opportunities are unlocked for you to access. These are the supported languages of the league. We have JavaScript, Java, Python, C Sharp, and PHP. To share to everyone, one of the highlights of Stack League is the weekly ranking and treasure chest. Opened last September 5, Stack League treasure chest for team category is still ongoing. Team category was launched last July 11. Now you can compete with a team consisting of 3 to 5 members for points and prizes, where the total points of the team is the sum of all individual points earned by each member. And for individual players, Stack League Playoff season has started last September 5. Here's a short clip for you to see. Moving forward, Stack League Playoffs is a single elimination tournament featuring all monthly qualifiers. All weekly top 10 Stack League participants will automatically be invited to the monthly qualifier rounds. If you want to learn more, visit stackleague.com. And that sums up our overview for Stack League. Back to you, Casey.
Thank you, King, for giving us a short introduction of what Stack League is all about. So, if there's anyone here interested in joining, just go visit our website. Now, before I introduce to you our speaker, may I remind everyone that if you have any questions for our resource speaker this evening, you can type them in the comment section. We'll be addressing them later at the Q&A session. Now it's time to introduce our speaker for this evening. Graduated cum laude with a degree of Bachelor of Science in Computer Science at the University of Santo Tomas, our resource speaker for tonight has been in the industry for 6 years. He is currently a senior software engineer at SmartBite Malaysia. He is also an Auth0 ambassador and one of the community leaders of Angular Philippines, who is involved in organizing tech meetups, mentorships, and has written tutorials in his own website, seijivillafranca.com. He has been a speaker in several events and conferences, both here in the Philippines and abroad, and is currently authoring a new book in full stack Java and Angular. Let's all welcome Mr. Seiji Villafranca. Good evening, Sir Seiji.
Yeah, good evening, Casey. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, thank you for inviting me. First of all, it's been a pleasure for me to be a speaker here in StackLeague. So really been a pleasure for me to share this knowledge in terms of Angular Philippines. So yeah, I think I can start presenting my talk. Okay. So yeah, um, once again, good evening, everyone. Good evening for all the students out there and professionals. And once again, StackLeague, thank you for inviting me as your resource speaker. And it's a pleasure for me to share my knowledge in Angular. So, yeah, what's our topic for this evening? It's Angular, specifically Angular, but it's on cross platforms. So basically, Angular is built in for web and only for web on the first place. But right now it's becoming more extensive. It's extending and extending. It's having its own growth, and it's now being developed by it's now being used by developers in terms of developing applications in different platforms. So the question here is, how can Angular do that since it's only built for web in the first place? So we will discuss that in our session today. So how can we build or how can we use Angular applications or Angular framework in cross platforms? Okay. So yeah, before we start, I'll just introduce myself again. So Casey introduced me a while ago. Once again, I'm Seiji Villafranca. Currently, I'm a senior software engineer in SmartBite Malaysia. So my company is in Malaysia, but I'm here in the Philippines. But around next year, I will be going in there to my office. Then I'm also an Auth0 ambassador. So what is Auth0? So I'll just give an idea. So basically, I'm promoting web securities on how to practice the common standards or the industry standards in web securities, and at the same time how to implement a more secure web applications. So what's my responsibility of being as an Auth0 ambassador. And I'm also the community lead of Angular Philippines. So just like StackLeague, I'm also handling a tech community here in the Philippines. So basically, we're focusing on teaching Angular, actually not just Angular, but we're also teaching JavaScript and TypeScript to students and even professionals. So what are the common standards or what are the industry standards that we are using? Okay. And yeah, I've been a speaker for around I think 4 years already, and I've been to here and there. So there are many events that I have attended. I've been invited to as a speaker. So one of the conferences here is SoftCon or Software Conference Philippines. So this is the largest conference here in the Philippines, and I've been also into international conferences like JavaScript and Friends and Angular Up. So Angular Up is it's located in Tel Aviv, Israel, and I've been there once. I've been a speaker there once, so it's one of the biggest conferences in Angular. And yeah, in other tech communities like DevCon, React.js Pilipinas, so I'm also using React and PWA Pilipinas and many more. And actually, I don't know how many talks that I have attended because I've been invited several times. So if you ask me how many talks that I have done, I can't answer you the exact number of talks that I've done. So yeah, so basically that's about myself. And yeah, enough of the blah blah about myself. Then let's proceed of what are the things we can learn today in our session. So first thing before we move on to our cross-platform deployment, for all the beginners out there, sure, we should know first what is Angular and how can we develop using Angular applications. We can actually go straight forward in cross-platform deployment unless we know the framework itself. So what we will know today is the basics and the fundamentals of Angular. So before we go straight to the deployment in terms of different cross platforms, I'll just show you some simple uh, the basics or the fundamentals of how we develop Angular. And yeah, we don't develop Angular from scratch. So what we do is we're using Angular CLI. So this is a great tool for the developers, for Angular developers to scaffold boilerplate code. So we're not doing our codes from scratch because Angular CLI is there. It's a big help for us since it's the one generating our code. And yeah, after we learn the basics, we now go to the cloud deployment and the cross-platform deployment. Okay, so basically, what's the question? What's the main question here is what the hell is Angular? Angular is a front end framework, so it's a JavaScript framework. If you ever heard the top three JavaScript frameworks, so it's Angular, Vue, and React. So basically, it's for front end applications. And um, what's the similarities between the three? There are single page applications, and it's written in TypeScript. So if you develop an Angular application, you should also learn how to develop an application using a TypeScript language. And yeah, it's component based. So the common concept of Angular is we reuse codes in terms or in a form of component. So we will know this later. What's the concept of components, or what does it look like in our code? So right now, maybe you don't have any idea what's components if you don't have background in single page applications. But later, I will show you how to use components in Angular application. Okay. So yeah, this is a common misconception. So I like memes, and I think you will relate all with memes with me. So actually, this is some common misconception in the world of programming. So Angular is not the same as Angular JS. So when you hear the word or when you hear the framework Angular JS, it's specifically pertaining to Angular version 1. And Angular without the JS from its framework, it's the Angular 2 above. So this is a common confusion in developers. So if you say Angular itself, it's the Angular 2 above. And on my own opinion, AngularJS is really a headache for us because of its concept, of its controller. So if you guys have experienced AngularJS and you shifted to Angular, you will see the real benefit of a component base versus the controllers that what AngularJS is currently using. Yeah. So just some history about Angular. So I know it's about development, but let's just know what are the origins or how did Angular JS became Angular. So yeah, Angular JS was born in 2010. So it was being developed by Misko Hevery. So Misko Hevery, for your information, he's a Google employee. So he's one of the developers of Google since Angular is also being maintained by Google. Then actually Angular is not really for external projects or for open source projects, but Misco have redeveloped Angular JS just for internal projects. So it's basically meant for the internal projects of Google. It's for building faster development. And yeah, at the same time, if in around 2010, I'm not sure what month, they saw the capability of Angular JS. So in this case, they decided to release Angular as an open source for other developers to use it in their web applications. Yeah, and in that time also around 2010. So if you're familiar with Ionic, Ionic also supported Angular JS. So Angular JS didn't. It's actually made for web, but when Ionic and Cordova supported Angular JS, so it became a trend. Why? Because you can create mobile applications using HTML, CSS, and even JavaScript. So it supports Angular JS, meaning that you don't have to learn native language or native programming native apps using Android, Kotlin, or iOS or Objective C. So it's a big step for Angular JS being supported by Ionic because of creating native mobile apps just using Angular JS. So this is actually a big step in terms of cross platforms. So there, actually this year, I would say that this is a 50-50, meaning 50% bad and 50% good. 2014-2015 was the great rewrite, meaning this is the start of developing the Angular 2 above. So why is it called a great rewrite? Because Angular JS is basically they're trying to they're trying to rewrite the framework itself, and it's the Angular framework is not really related to Angular JS. So it's a total rewrite of the app of the framework itself. So basically this is the start of the Angular 2. So why did Google, or why did Miss Cohevery decided to do this great rewrite? One most important factor is the advancement of JavaScript. So there are some standards that are being released today where JavaScript is continuously growing, and it came up to the point that it left the concepts of Angular JS. So this is the major factor why did they decided for this great rewrite. And Angular JS, for some experience by developers, it's really hard to maintain. At the same time, it's a headache in terms of reading the code. Okay. So yeah, they have switched into a totally new pattern from controllers to component based. So if you will compare Angular and Angular JS, they are not really related to each other. So it's a big difference. And one of the big dilemmas here in Angular is when your application is written on Angular JS, it's really difficult to migrate into Angular. Thus, there is no bridge between them, and there are no shortcuts or whatever tool out there is to automatically migrate your Angular JS to Angular. So this is actually a panic mode from companies that used Angular JS, and they've heard that there's a great rewrite from the Google. So meaning that the Angular JS is coming to an end. So it's a dead framework, and they need to migrate in Angular. So this needs more developers, at the same time resources. So this was a panic mode for some companies, and yeah, around in 2018, so 2 plus it became larger and larger, and yeah, there's a panic mode. But in these times, around 2018, so companies began to adapt the Angular 2 plus or the Angular 2 above, and yeah, they're slowly migrating to the Angular framework. And at the same time, the communities get is also getting larger, and the support. So yeah, they have actually grow their community. So companies is encouraged to migrate with Angular to above. Okay. Yeah, so I know there's been some history, and so blah blah blah. Yeah, I might said some history. So yeah, let's go straight forward to what is Angular itself. So yeah, let's just learn the basics of Angular. Hey, so if in order for you to start developing your Angular application, so the first thing you need to have is Node.js on your terminal. So if you want to download your Node.js, it's just on nodejs.org, and I would suggest that you install the current or the stable version. So it's around, I think it's around 14 point something. I'm not sure what's the exact version, and yeah, you can install it there. And to install the Angular CLI for our project to be scaffold automatically, you'll just execute the command or this npm command in the terminal. So it's npm install -g at angular /cli. Don't forget to install Node.js before you install your Angular CLI, because npm it's on Node.js. And if you are good to go, if you want to double check if your installations have been successfully executed, so just check your npm version. So execute the command rather in your CLI or in your command line npm-v. So this will reflect the version of your installed node. And at the same time, the check your Angular CLI version. So it's just ng dash dash version. So if it just reflected your version successfully, so it means that your installations are successful. Okay. So yeah. how to create your Angular project. So we don't configure our Angular project from scratch. We don't install our dependencies one by one. We have our Angular CLI. Yeah, as I have said a while ago, we don't need to have a problem in terms uh, of configuring your application, since there's a provided command for this one. So this CLI will do the work for you, and after that you're now ready to code. Yeah. So yeah, just some basic concepts of Angular. So maybe you might not understand me at this moment, but I'll just give you a grasp or a brief discussion or an explanation of what are the things that you will see when I code Angular. So if you say Angular, if you say the Angular, if you hear the Angular framework, that there are actually three things that comes up in your mind when you are developing an Angular application. So actually, these are the it's like the three concepts or the three main concepts when you develop Angular. So the first one is a module, the second one is component, and the third one is a service. So uh, in just layman terms, I will just discuss this so you can have a brief understanding what's the use of these three concepts. So module, it's just a collection. So think of it as a one big box. So it's like a box that contains your HTML elements, your JavaScript files, your services, and whatever your application needs. So it's just like a single box that is a collection of everything. So this box can be used anywhere in your application. So the things that are inside this box is the one that we can use throughout our application. So it's like recycling all that HTML or the JavaScript files throughout our application. So that's what module does. And in this part, the component. So the component is it's like a piece of object that is inside the module. So this component is like a customized HTML tag that you can also use inside throughout your application, depending on what module it is encapsulated. So basically that's what component is. And service, for developer terms, it's actually the communication between the front end and the back end. So it's like concept of dependency injection, where you allow components to communicate with each other at the same time through our backend. So that's the simple terms in explaining these three concepts. So yeah, maybe it's a little confusing right now, but later if I code the demo of Angular application, you will see a grasp of how module, component, and service works. Okay. Yeah. So I just screenshot a snippet of code so you can see what module, component, services looks like in a code. So in module, you will see that there's a collection of components. Modules also, you can put a modules inside the modules and a services at the same time. So you can see that it's like a box that encapsulates all the components or all the modules of the application. So next is a component. So if you can see here in my code snippet, component is a class. So if you are familiar with object-oriented programming, so TypeScript, that's the main benefit of TypeScript in Angular. So it incorporates the object-oriented programming. So in this case, we can create models, objects, and at the same time interfaces and classes. So we can see that component is a class, and this component, it has its own CSS file, which is also encapsulated. So we can also isolate this CSS files with this component only. And next is the services. So in this part, actually services is also a class. So the main difference in component and a service, since there are both classes, is the decorators. So we can see here in this part that a component has a component decorator and a service has an injectable decorator. So that's the main difference of that two concept. Okay, so actually in developing these three concepts, it's not from scratch also. So we have our Angular CLI, so we can generate it from we can generate these codes in using Angular CLI, so it's not from scratch. So how to generate that? It's just ng generate module dash name, and ng generate component dash name, and ng generate service dash name. So if that's pretty long, so if you're lazy in typing, so you can just use a shorthand. For example, it's ngg m module name. So yeah, it's just the first letter of each word. So actually, it's as you can see that Angular CLI is very useful in terms of generating codes. Okay, so to give you a background of how Angular works, actually this flow is a very generic flow. It's not just for Angular, but basically it's for single page applications like React and Vue. So there's it's actually a two tier architecture. So this is the client server which hosts our front end application. So this is the client server, and this will bring or this will display all our resources in our front end through the client's browser in the form of module components and services. And if this front end application needs some data in our backend, so it will use the services and it will request in our backend server, and any backend that is hosted on a backend server like Java, Ruby, Python, or whatever other backend APIs. So it will retrieve it to the database, and we will receive it as a JSON data response in our front end and display the data using the HTTP client in Angular. So this communication is done by the service that as I have discussed a while ago. Okay. Okay. So component lifecycle hooks. Just to give you also a background. So component lifecycle hooks is the lifecycle or how Angular components is being mounted on our application. So actually, we can use this in terms of calling or initializing data before our Angular application displays. So I will not discuss this briefly, but I'll just have a background of what are the common lifecycle are being used. So it's the ng on init, or a short for ng on initialization. So before our HTML renders in our application, this is triggered. So if you need to get or fetch data from your application before your HTML tags renders on the UI, so you can call this function and call a service to fetch the data. And the other one that's being used is the ng after view init. So this is after view initialization. So after view initialization is after the HTML or the DOM has been rendered in our application. So um, the next one is the ng on destroy. So the ng on destroy is basically the function itself. So when you redirect it out to our application or to our component, so this will be called, and this is good for cleaning your component. At the same time, if you have any subscription, so you should dump or you should unsubscribe that observables in your Angular application. Okay. Yeah. So as you have, if you have observed a while ago, what are the properties in the component concept? So these are called metadatas actually. So metadatas are simply properties of that component that you can use to define its tag name, at the same time the template URL and the style URL. So the selector is simply it's just like the tag name of your component. So your component becomes it is like a custom HTML tag. So the name of your component is the selector, and the template URL. So it's the path for the HTML file, and the style URL is the path for the CSS file. So the style URL can have multiple CSS files. So now it depends on what you're planning to organize. So it can receive an array of files. Okay. And next, about Angular application is the routing. So Angular apps or single page application also have the concept of routings. So if if you're developing Angular applications using route, it actually routes from one page to another, but since it's a single page application, it doesn't load. Why? Because it all the resources are already in your client's browser. So the main concept here is Angular just it's just hiding the first page. For example, you have redirected to the out to the first page, so it will just hide it on our DOM, and the page two will be presented on the UI or in the client's browser. Okay, yeah. So component interaction. This is just how component communicates. So as if you can imagine, we are creating into components. So if there's a good question here, that how can components communicate with each other, so there are concepts in Angular that you can use. So there's several relationships. There are parent and child components in Angular application. So it depends on what relationship that two or three components have. So what concept are you going to use? So in this case, for example, we have a parent component and a child component, and we can see in this example animation that the parent component sends the chocolates to a child. So that's a parent to child communication. So how is that possible in Angular? So we have some input and output properties. So these are properties that we can use for our components to have an activated input and receive a data from the parent component. So the at input property is for the child to receive a data, and at the same time, the output property is the one receiving the data from the child. So it's a vice versa. So output now is for the parent to receive a data from the child. Okay. Yeah. Other ways to for components to communicate. So actually, this is in the world of Angular. There are really many ways how to have a component communication. So the common ways is services. So services are can also be used in terms of communication, and subjects. So subjects is quite an advanced concept, and state management also. So it's also a quite an advanced concept. So these are just the common ways we're using in terms of component communication. So if you're familiar with Redux, or if you have been developing in React, so state management, it's the same. So the three popular libraries for this is NGRX, Akita, and NGXS. So if you want to explore more about the state management, and um, if you're expert in Angular, so you can actually go straight forward in using of these libraries in state management. Okay, so yeah, as I have said a while ago, routing, it's also a module, and it's just like a JSON object that where you define all of your routes. So we can see here in our picture, in our screenshot, that we just define our routes here, and at the same time, uh, what are the components will be redirected. So it's not really loading our page from the back end, from the server, but it's just hiding our page in the DOM depending on the routes of what we are currently in. Okay, so as I have said, in routing, pages are also components, and we do not retrieve the pages from the server. So this is actually a benefit from in the client. Why? Because it's performance wise, because we only load the data needed from the backend, and yeah, we don't load the routes. We just hide it, the tags or the components in the DOM. Okay. Yeah, so it's kind of a mind blown actually. So I cannot teach Angular in just 1 hour. So it's basically a big framework for us. But this is just the main concept or the basic fundamentals for you to know, and yeah, to have an idea when you read the code of Angular. So it's really a mind blown in terms of developing Angular. For me, I'm been an Angular developer for 6 years, and honestly, I haven't used all of the tools at the same time. Even the libraries like RxJS, it's very big, so it's really a long way for you to master Angular itself. Okay. Yeah. So all of that fundamentals that you've learned from that presentation. So the main question here is Angular only for web? Well, yeah, this is Angular and cross platforms. So the main answer is no. Angular is already on cross platforms, and you can develop applications on mobile, desktop, and yeah, especially for web using yeah, Angular framework. So yeah, how is that possible in using Angular framework itself? So as time goes by, other frameworks are supporting JavaScript frameworks in order for them to produce hybrid at the same time native app like applications using these frameworks. So, in terms of mobile, there have been two famous frameworks or UI toolkit that is being used in building applications. So, one is Ionic and two is Native Script. So, I will discuss what's the difference between the two later. And also, if you don't like to learn some native or native UI or just some plain HTML, CSS, so there has been PWA or Progressive Web Apps has been there already. So this is a very powerful technology. Why? Because it inject service workers on your framework and on your application rather, so it will have a native app like experience just using this framework. And we also have the PWA builder, so I will discuss what's the use of PWA builder in terms of progressive web apps. And yeah, and on this right, this is what we call Electron. So this converts your application into desktop application, so executable. So this is the benefit of this Electron is it's compatible in Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. So yeah, every platform can now be accommodated by Angular, and that's one of the main benefits of this is the learning curve. So you're just using one framework, but you can cater all of the platforms. Okay, so let's just have a brief discussion of what are the uses of each toolkits or framework. So Ionic, it's a UI toolkit for building native web apps using just HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So actually, Ionic it started with AngularJS, but now it can also be integrated with several frameworks already, just like React and Vue. And on my opinion, Ionic is really easy to use, especially when you have learned Angular already. So you will not have a hard time developing Ionic apps because of the framework, the familiarity of the framework. So it's really a good uh, it is really a good framework in terms of developing native app applications. Okay, so yeah, you're developing your Angular, you're using your Angular framework with on top of Ionic, and you can deploy or you can upload this your APK or Xcode on your iOS and Android. um, I think this is a main downside for Ionic is it doesn't use native components, and it renders everything in HTML and CSS. So the main problem here is uh, this is a performance degree. This is it can affect the performance actually because it uses WebView. It doesn't directly communicate with the native APIs. So it is the concept here. It's encapsulated or it's using a third party like Cordova for us to run on a native app like native apps. So that's the main disadvantage of Ionic. And the next one is native script. So native script, just like Ionic, it's a framework to build through the native mobile app. So what's the difference between Ionic and native script is, as I have said a while ago, Ionic doesn't communicate directly to the native API, so it uses Cordova for us to compile our code, while native script, it directly communicates with the native API. So it injects the Android APIs and iOS into JavaScript JVM. So what's the main advantage? It's performance. So it doesn't need any third-party libraries to be compiled because it directly communicates to the native APIs. And yeah, and native script has grow larger and larger because of its compatibility. So it's not just compatible with Angular, but also in other frameworks like Vue, React, Svelte, and you can even also use it into plain JavaScript and plain TypeScript. So TypeScript now is really native script rather is really now flexible in terms of developing it. So as I have said a while ago, Ionic a while ago is using WebView. So how does native script renders its UI? So it's like Java Android. So it stores its UI in XML files with CSS styling, and it completely separates the logic of the TypeScript and JavaScript files. So that's the main advantage of native script when it comes to developing native applications using Angular. The main disadvantage is the size of the file. So based on my experience, actually native script produces larger files. Why? Because of the APIs. So it's the Android and iOS APIs are already included because it directly communicates with that API. So that's the main advantage of native script. Okay. And now next, PWA or progressive web apps. Actually, progressive web apps are now a trend. Why? Because you're just developing your application in a one code base, but you can use your application or you can transform your application into a native web app, native web like app. So it's really beneficial because it can behave your app like it works offline and you don't have an internet connection, and it can also access your camera just like what native apps are doing. So how does this make PWA possible? It's the use of service workers. So if you deep dive on PWA, so you will always see the service worker. So service worker are responsible for the data or the caching of PWA apps. So this is really a trend because you're using your own framework, your own plain framework, for example, your Angular, just HTML, CSS, and you can make it just like a native app. And what gets better is there's already a PWA builder. So what's a PWA builder? So it can build your PWA app for Microsoft and Play Store. So this you didn't use any other frameworks. You have just used your Angular framework, but you can upload it as an APK at the same time as in as an application in the Microsoft Store without changing any code and just by adding the service worker. So others they haven't known that there has been a PWA builder that is existing. So yeah, you can try this one out and just code your Angular application or React application and just deploy it with an HTTPS and place the URL link on the PWA builder, and you're good to go. And you have your own APK. Yeah. And lastly is the Electron. So Electron is quite some time now. It's been used quite some time. It's an open source framework for building desktop applications. So it's built with Chromium and Node.js. So you can build your applications using plain HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And yeah, you can also use Electron in your Angular framework. And not just Angular framework, it can also be used in several frameworks already like React and Vue. And yeah, just a trivia, the common desktop applications that we're using like Slack, Twitch, or in other streaming, other chat applications with desktop enabled applications, they're actually using Electron framework. Why? Because they don't need to code or they don't need to create another project for this, but they're only using a single code base for developing a desktop application. So that's the main benefit of Electron. So yeah, so here are just some of the here are the most famous frameworks or QI toolkits that we are using to enable Angular on cross platforms. Okay. Yeah, so I just have a simple demo, I guess, on how to use progressive web app or how to um, enable progressive web app in our Angular app, and at the same time, let's try to build it on Angular or PWA builder. So yeah, let's go to our code. So In this case, I'll just have to generate an example Angular. So if you can remember, we just need to have a command. So ng-new will just generate you a new code. So let's have an Angular routing, and it will allow you to select what are the format would you like to use in terms of CSS, and basically it will generate all our code in Angular application. So you can just have your coffee. If you This will just take around 3 minutes to start. So let's just wait for around 3 to 5 minutes. So while we were waiting, I'll just discuss what are the things that we are going to use. So we're planning to do a progressive web app, and we're planning to generate APK for this one using PWA Builder. So when you so go to PWA Builder. So this is the PWA builder, and what does it require is the URL of your PWA. So if your Angular application is deployed already, so you can paste your URL here and just start, and PWA builder will score your application if it's really a progressive web app and it does meet its requirements. So this is the use of PWA builder. And lastly, I'll just deploy my Angular application in Netlify. So Netlify is really user friendly in terms of deploying your Angular. So you just have to specify what's the root file for your build. So we will use Netlify for this one. So yeah, actually now this is done. So our Angular application is already scaffolded. Okay. So in this case, we can see that our code is already ready. So I didn't do anything there, just I just executed the ng-new uh, command. So I'll just start the application. So I can use ngs or short term for shorthand for ng start. So in using Angular CLI, will just always use the word ng. So while we were waiting for that to start, let's just also install our Bootstrap. So I'll just make it simple. So ng, and let's just have our ng Bootstrap. So ng add. So for us to install ng for Bootstrap, it's ng add at ng dash bootstrap ng dash bootstrap. So it will just ask you a question if you like to proceed. So it will install ng bootstrap version 10. So our package is installed, and our project is still compiling. So let's just install other parts. So let's just also install bootstrap icons. So as I have installed Bootstrap, excuse me, you can see here that it automatically scaffold the things that it needs. So in this case, it added the import for the Bootstrap styles, and at the same time, it added our dependency. So it's on the package.json. So it added the ng Bootstrap dependency and the Bootstrap dependency itself. And I've also added Bootstrap icons. So I just had to add this import. So honestly, I don't memorize all of these imports, so we just have to add that. And next is we're ready to create our code. So in this case, let's just create a simple list of the seminars of Angular. So I have already created an API for that, but yeah, just fetch the data from the backend server and at the same time create components for that one. So in this case, I'll just create two folders. So I'll create a component. So it's ng component or ng, nggc. So it stands for ng generate component, then components, then cards. Or let's just call this seminar items. So we can see here in our code that it generated sample seminar items in this case. So this is a component that is being generated by the Angular CLI. So in our app component, let's check if it loaded successfully. So yeah, our application is now running successfully. So we can see that this is automatically generated code for Angular. So when you visit this code, let's try here. So we can see here that this is the main placeholder for Angular. So we can delete this actually. Okay. So let's just delete this one. So this seminar items, so we can actually use this throughout our application since it's declared in our app module or in our root module. So we can see here that this is our seminar items. So the seminar items, it has a selector. So the app seminar item. So as I said, this is the tag name. So how can we use that? So app seminars item or seminar. See its items. Apologies for the. Okay. So this is the selector name. So we can see that our seminar item works. So we can use that several times in this page. So that's what component based concept is trying to imply. So we can use it in several times in this page. So if we have some codes um, that is redundant, or for example a menu or a nav bar that we can use in different pages, so we can use this component base. So basically that's what component is all about. So in this case, I'll just copy some code in Bootstrap because we don't have that much time. So let's just copy this one. So this will now work because of the Bootstrap that I have installed a while ago. So let's copy this here. So in this case, we can see that we have three cards in our app component. So these are still hard coded. So let's just remove the other one. So in this case, uh, let's just have this on a container, and let's try on a row like this. Let's just use some of the grid of Bootstrap. and there. Then let's just have here some title. So I will not make it that stylish. Yeah, okay. Just have S. And in this case, I just want this app seminar items to receive some data. So in this case, we want to receive description. Um, let's make it a model, I guess. So let's just have a model. So seminar for class. So as I have mentioned a while ago, that TypeScript is has the object-oriented programming concept. So let's have description, string, title, string, then what else that we can display? So yeah, I think it's just let's just yeah, the image. Okay. So it's having error. So there we have our own class seminar, and in this case, let's just this component. It as I have said or as I have explained a while ago, we have the at input regulator to receive data. So this is seminars seminar rather. Then it will receive a type seminar of data. So in this case, let's just have this as null, or yeah, it cannot be a null either. Yeah. So in this case, we have our application in this case, or we need to create a service that we can have to fetch our data in our application. So in this case, let's have a service slash services slash seminar. Okay. Now we can see here that we have our own service. So this is the one responsible for our fetching of data in our backend application. So in our environment, or let's just place it here. So s- let's just call this, or sorry, URL. So our backend application here is, I forgot the there the link. So this is our link. So actually, this is a different application in our part. So this is coded in Node.js. So in this case, um, this will be the one re- getting, or this will be the one giving us data in the or the list of seminars. So in order for us to use HTTP request, so we should have an HTTP client module. So the HTTP client module is under or provided also in Angular. So HTTP client module from at Angular common HTTP. So in order for us to use HTTP request, so don't forget to import this module that is provided by Angular. And now we need just to inject our HTTP client. Okay. So here in this case, let's just have a function called get seminars, then return this.http.get. And in this case, let's just use a backtick. So a backtick can be used in terms of concatenation instead of using plus operator. So we can use the base URL, then slash seminars. Okay. And basically, that's what our service is composed of. So in this case, let's go to app component.ts. So let's just have here the constructor. We will inject our service here, the seminar service that we have created. So it's seminar service. Okay. Then we can now use it on our app component. So as if you remember a while ago that I have the lifecycle hook, so ng on init, so I can use on init lifecycle hook here in our app component. So in order for us to use that, so we will implement the on init this on init class, or the interface on init rather, and we will implement the function ng on init. So in this case, we will call the seminar service that get seminars. And this get seminar, it's a subscription, so we'll just have to subscribe, and it will get all the data. Okay. So let's go back to seminar. Let's just have this not yet defined. Okay. So what's wrong with this one? And let's just make this any for a while. So in this case, we have an input for seminar, and now we are getting our list of seminars in our app component. So in this case, let's just test this if this will work. So let's try. Okay. So this one, let's check. Found there. So it's pending because this is deployed on Heroku. So let's just wait for our dynos to be executed. So we can see that it's now being called in Angular. So as you can see here that every time our application loads, because it's now being called an ng on init, so it's now the seminar that get seminars is now being called in our application. So once before our html renders, so this seminars this api is being called. So we can see here that we have successfully got our data in this application or in this API. So what we're going to do is just display this on our seminar items. So the first thing we need to do is just have a array of seminars. So what we're going to do is we will display here. We will assign this data to the seminar. So this dot seminars equals data. So you can see here that we have an error because this is TypeScript. So what we're going to do is have a type for this one, and in this case you should also have a type for seminar. So in this case we also need to have a pipe. So let's have an RxJS operator. So TypeScript is really strict in terms of typing. Actually, this is beneficial for developers. Why? Because yeah, we will implement our functions in a correct way. So this is really beneficial for us. So in this case, let's run time nothing. Yeah, what's the wrong? Let's try to generate. So what's the wrong one here? Pipe tap. Yeah, I'm just guessing this is N for this one. Okay. Okay. Let's just place any for now. Not sure why is it's an error. Okay. And this one. we have casted here on our Get seminars. So we are now assigning it on our seminars variable. So what we're going to do is we're going to loop this seminar. So we know that this is an array of seminars. So what we're going to do is we will have a loop for ng4. So let seminar of seminars. So we can see here that our loop has successfully been our application has successfully looped the seminars, but we are haven't we're not yet displaying our data. So what we're going to do is pass this seminar inside the app seminar items. So actually this is wrong because of the call md. So we need to place it here, there. So it's much better. And yeah, then next is we're just going to feed this to our child class. So meaning app seminar items is our child class. So we can say or we can remember that we have an input seminar. So we're going to feed that on uh, our component. So seminar equals seminar. So don't be confused. So this seminar is pertaining to this input, and this seminar is pertaining to this one. So this is the value. So what we're going to do is display that one. So what we're going to do is have an interpolation. So description, and I guess let's check if we're having that one. So this is the description already. And for the title, let's check again. I forgot. Okay. So seminar description. I guess let's just have another one here. Each for, so just for the title. So seminar that title, and there's the title. So we have successfully displayed it. And for the image, so we need to bind that one. So we can see here in the structure of uh, the JSON. So oh, you can see the structure. So let's just have log here. We can see here in our structure that the image is in an array, so it should be accessed as data or seminar that image that zero index and the URL. So let's try that one. So it's seminar dot image and index zero dot URL. There. So there's the image. Okay, so now we have successfully displaying the seminars, and yeah, that's the basic or the fundamentals of our Angular application. So this is just really basic, so I'm not really using all of the components or the functions of Angular. So my point here is we have our, for example, our display of seminars. So how can we make this into an Angular PWA? So simply, it's easy. So let's just have a simple uh, command. So it's just another command. So I don't need to do anything, just execute the command. So our command is ngadd at angular dash pwa. Oops, wrong spelling. Sorry about that. Then just say yes for installing the Angular PWA. And yeah, you can just have your coffee again in terms of uh, placing your app while your Angular PWA is being set up. So you don't have to do anything, and it will set up the service workers, the manifest JSON, and all of that the things that are needed for your application to be PWA. And yeah, actually that's it. So our PWA is now, or our Angular rather, is now a progressive web app. So we can see in the changes here that it added some files. So this is a manifest, web manifest. So manifest or web manifest, it's basically the configuration for your assets. So what are the icons that will be used in Splash or in mobile? So if you remember in mobile apps, when you open an application, there's been a splash page. So before you see the home page, and it also added some the NGSW. So the NGSW is the service worker configuration. So this is where you define what are the files that are being cached. So basically, that's how you create your PWA application. So next is we deploy this PWA in our Netlify. So how can we deploy this Angular app in Netlify? So in this case, let's just have this one again. Just run this one because we have added a new service worker. So yeah, forgot to mention that it has also added a service worker module in our application. So it's FYI, as I have said a while ago, service worker is not enabled on development. So your service worker, uh, you might wonder why is it not working, because service worker will only work on HTTPS. So we really need to deploy this Angular application. So now our application is working on PWA. So now what we're going to do is deploy it on our Netlify. So in Netlify, so we can see here that we have an integration of Git. So I'll just go into my GitHub. So if you want to, just a plug, you want to follow my GitHub. This is my GitHub, CGV13. Yeah, so going back, you should just create your new repository. So in this case, let's just create one. So let's just name this Angular PH StackLeague. Okay. Oh, I'm really bad at spelling. Okay. Then yeah, so let's just create a repository for that one. So let's uh let's set this our origin for our project. So git remote add origin, and let's just have a simple commit message. So initial commit for Angular PWA. And yeah, let's push it on our master. Okay, now we're done on our Git side. So it's our application being on GitHub repository. So there are just things that we need to consider. So let's just go to our package.json and let's check the ng build. So let's just have here some knowledge about what are these commands. So ng build is basically used for building our application in terms of converting JavaScript into TypeScript rather into JavaScript. So it's just a plain JavaScript. So this mainly will be the one, or will be the one executed in our Netlify. So if we run npm run build, so let's just wait for our application to be built. So after this application has successfully been built, so we will see a folder here named dist, so a shorthand for distribution. So we will see all the files here, or the files that contains all our code in plain JavaScript. So this is the one will be deployed in our Netlify. So we can see here that this is our dist folder, and it's under the Angular PH Stack League. So this is the name of the project. So we might want to consider remembering this one. So we need this for our deployment. So we can see that it's already on bundles. So the main, it's in plain JavaScript. So now, why are we trying to do this on our local? So because we will try to replicate this on our Netlify. So in this case, let's just have a new site from Git. So let's connect our GitHub in Netlify. Okay, so configure. So yeah, if you want to deploy your application for free and you want to brag your web app, so you can use Netlify. You can deploy any front end applications here like React and Angular. So let's just use Angular PH StackLeague. So there's our repository. And yeah, let's just deploy our master. So we can see here in our build command that we will run our npm run build. So this will execute the command ng build. And as I have said a while ago, so remember your project name. So this is our project name. So it's Angular PH Stack League. So Angular PH Stack League. And it's ready to deploy. So our the things that we only need to do is just wait for this for our app to be deployed in Netlify. So this is wow, what a name. So let's just change the name. So never mind. Let's just put it as is. So in our deploy settings, we can see here that our publish directory is on this Angular page stack league. So it will access this index HTML inside our build Angular package. So yeah, let's just wait for this to deploy. Right. So if you want to access my repository, so you can actually follow my uh, GitHub. So actually, I've been uploading repositories here for tutorial purposes, and you are free to clone this application. I don't mind if you want to learn more about Angular, even in other frameworks. So you're very free to clone this. My repository is here, and if you want to learn more about JavaScript, Angular, React, or Node, yeah, feel free to clone all of my repositories. So I think this will take a while because this is a first deployment. Okay, so yeah, you can just see here that what's the status of your deployment. So it currently it executed the npm run build, so it's executing the ng build. Yeah, there. And yeah, it's kind of fast, and the build script success. So in this case, let's check. I think it's already published. Let's check if it's published. There, so it's published, so you can actually access this externally. So our Angular application is now being hosted in the world. So it has just a subdomain for Netlify, and actually it's also in HTTPS. So now we have deployed our Angular application. So let's try our PWA builder. So we have it uh, as a PWA. So we've set it as a PWA builder or a PWA, a progressive web app. So we can use PWA builder to compile APKs. So let's try copy paste our URL. So you can see here that you will just sit here again and wait for your PWA builder to evaluate your app. So this will score your application. So yeah, our application or our Angular application is already a PWA, so it has a score. So it passed the PWA's builder score. So it's congrats, and you have a great PWA. So next, so we can see here that you have several options. And the options here is you can build your application as a Windows Microsoft Store. So you can put it on a Microsoft Store. So it's just like almost a desktop application. And yeah, it I've created it just in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and in Angular framework. But yeah, it can be hosted in Windows Store. And the better part is it's can be converted into an APK. So Android now supports PWA. So we can see here that we can store it as a package. So in PWA to the Google Play Store, so it's like more of like you can install it using Play Store, and it's really like a native web app. And at the same time, yeah, you can also use it in Samsung for Samsung Finder app. So it's like really flexible in when you create your PWA into PWA builder, having that it's an installable application. So yeah, that's how powerful progressive web applications are using the Angular framework. You're just using one code base, and you can deploy your app in several platforms. So I will not continue in storing package because this I will not demonstrate how to deploy it or how to upload it on Android store. So next, yeah. So you can just publish here at the same time directly in PWA Builder, and there we have our own Angular application that is hosted. You can host in different platforms. Okay, so yeah, that's basically part of my demo. But if you want to learn more about other UI toolkits that I have mentioned a while ago, like Ionic and NativeScript, so you can explore their website. And actually, in terms of building Ionic apps, they have their own builder there, and they will just generate it for you, and you can go straightforward coding your application. And in Electron, it's also easy to implement it because you just have to configure some commands in your code in your package.json. So you just have to add commands, and if you execute that, it will automatically create your Angular application into an executable application. Okay. So yeah, thank you for listening on my talk. And if you want to learn more, if you want to meet more experts in Angular and community leaders as like me, so you can join our group. So I can share my slides, my link for you, so you can copy this Facebook group and Facebook page. And now we have also our website. It's angularph.org. So you do want do if you want to know more about us at the same time you want to be updated in our seminars and workshop. And if you want to learn more, I'm also a mentor. I'm mentoring several students, and you can visit my site seijivillafranca.com. I've been writing contents and tutorials in terms of development using frameworks and company standards. So you're free to read all of that contents, and you can also visit my GitHub CGV13. And if you want to message me or reach me out in other social media, you can also connect with me in Facebook. Okay, and yeah, once again, thank you for listening, and I hope you learned a lot for Angular Philippines. And hoping I see you soon and also mentor you in terms of learning Angular framework. Yeah, Casey, I am done on the session. Yeah, hello. Oh, okay. Wala. I think nawala yung mic ni Casey. So, I guess I'll just run to on the Q&A. So I'll run to the comments for a while kasi medyo maraming comments. So I think yung mga comments. So yeah, siguro ito na lang muna yung sasagutin ko yung nasa screen. So yes, thank you Mitchell for the question. So what is the main use of pipes? So pipes is actually for modifying your data. So halimbawa, meron tayong uh, currency. So, for example, marami siyang ginagamit. So, pwede ka rin gumamit ng built-in pipes ni Angular. Pwede ka rin gumawa ng custom pipes. So, main usage talaga nito is yung for formatting. So, one example is currency. Yun nga. Meron tayong uh, nire-round up or nire-round down. So instead of using functions, so we can use pipes in Angular. Bakit pipes? Kasi mas malinis siya, mas nahihiwalay natin or mas na-isolate natin yung mga logic na ganun. So yun yung main use ni pipes. So for formatting ng mga data sa UI.
Okay, so can you hear me? Okay, I think
Ayan,
we're
okay.
back. Sorry for
Yeah.
that. Okay, so thank you also for reading the question. So, we have another question. Let's scroll through the comment section. We have from, where was it? Okay, from Erwin Pineda. Any recommendations for API development?
Yeah. Ayan. Thank you, Erwin, sa question. Actually, ako kasi, experience-wise, marami na kasi ako na nagamit for API. So, nag.NET na ako, nag-Java na ako, Node. Siguro, in terms of learning curve, madaling matutunan si Node.js. And kung magbabala kayo mag-Angular, ah, ang pinaka-advantage nito kasi is pareha silang JavaScript and hindi ka magkakaroon ng masyadong learning curve sa paggamit ng dalawa. And I think may bago kasi ngayon na it's released just around 2019. So it's Nest.js. So it's built on top of Express and Node.js. So kung makikita niyo yung pinakita ko kanina na modules and components, so meron silang same concept. So you're building your APIs into modules and components. And same syntax din. So kung gusto niyo ng ganong learning curve na mas madadalian kayo, is ang perfect match talaga is Angular and Nest. So Node is really good in terms of speed and performance. Ang disadvantage lang talaga niya kasi is yun nga, yung scalability. So there are lot of companies now are developing frameworks para mas maging maintainable si Node.js. And ang ayun, advantage talaga JavaScript siya kasi um, direct na sa browser and ayun nga, maganda yung learning curve. And other API, yun yung masasuggest ko.
Okay, thank you so much. Another question also. What are the popular apps or website today that use Angular?
Yeah, Angular. Actually, sa Angular, madaming gumagamit. Pero ang mapapansin nyo is enterprise application. So, mostly banking application. So, I can't disclose yung mga projects ko pero yeah. Mostly yung mga enterprise applications yung mga gumagamit. Siguro yun, Google itself actually. May mga parts sa kanila na gumagamit like yung Google Docs nila, Google Sheets yan. They're built with Angular. Others, banking, yung mga banking dito sa Philippines, yeah, mostly Angular din ginagamit nila.
Okay, so another question is from AJ Ruth Sumandang. Performance wise, which framework is best for Angular to enable cross platform? Or what are the factors, size, etc., for each framework to consider if it is a good framework for your app?
Yep. Ayan. Thank you, AJ, for the question. So, actually, ayun, nabanggit ko kanina, like Ionic versus native script. Uh, Mas malaki talaga si native script yung nagpo-produce na file size when it comes to building it. Kasi, yun nga, kasama na yung mga native APIs ni Android at iOS. But, performance-wise, mas mabilis siya kasi directly kino-communicate na nga niya yung APIs. So, yun yung pinaka-advantage niya. Pero kung pag-uusapan natin yung sizes in terms of building mobile application, ang pinakamaganda talaga si PWA. Kasi unang-una, na-enable mo yung native app-like experience kay PWA, pero hindi ka gumamit ng mga native APIs or hindi ka gumamit ng WebView or anything. Same old, yung same base code, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but naka-native, more native app-like experience na siya. Service worker lang dinagdag mo. But ang problem dito, since hindi ka nga gumamit ng mga native-like API, is may advantage pa rin yung mga native versus PWA kasi meron pa sila mga features like yung mga storage, yung offline storage talaga na for example, si Netflix, yung mga playing offline. So, mahirap gawin yung kay PWA. And at the same time, uh, si PWA hindi pa siya enabled kay iOS ngayon. Ang pwede mo lang gamitin kay PWA is si Android, so as APK sa Play Store. So si Apple Store, hindi pa niya sinusupport si Progressive Web App. Ang pwede mo lang gawin doon is visit mo sa browser si PWA, then install mo siya. So may lalabas dun sa browser is install the application. So parang para magiging ano na rin siya, magiging app na rin siya ni iOS pero hindi siya galing kay Apple Store. So yun yung disadvantage niya. And performance, si PWA din. Siya talaga yung pinaka sa performance. Pero kung kailangan niyo talaga ng native app na working native app talaga, ang may sasuggest ko dito is Ionic or Native Script. Kasi but the first one is native script since ito nga yung talagang native app. Like, yun yung pinaka-performance or pinaka-close sa pagiging native app sa lahat. Ayun yung pinaka-suggestion ko in terms of developing your mobile application.
Okay, thank you so much for that suggestion, Sir Seiji. So let's go over two more questions. We have from Christian V. Alip. Which one is better po? Create more than one service or stick to one service po and then stack yung function sa isang service?
Stock. Okay, yeah. More on yeah, thank you, Sir Cristiano, for the question. So, ang may sasuggest ko is create more than one service. And actually kasi sa architecture ni Angular, tinatawag kasi siyang MVW, so model view whatever. Pero based on company standards, so this is actually debatable, pero based sa mga standards na natuturo ko at nakikita ko sa madalas sa iba't ibang company, is depende kasi yan eh, kung ano yung magiging use ng service mo. So, for example, authentication service. So, inilalagay siya usually sa core na folder. So, one service yon. So, kung ano yung mga related sa authentication service like login, register, and yung uh, yeah, reset password. So, nandun lahat yun. So, nandun lahat ng mga services. And another, yung mga services na which is really specific to a transaction, like for example, kukuha ka ng mga users like that. So, ayun yung mga ginagroup natin. So, kanyari, post user, put user. So, depends on the transaction itself. And madalas, yung service na yun, kung saan lang siya kailangan na module, doon lang natin siya pinoprovide. Or minsan, specific component. So, mas maganda kasi dito is mas maraming services and yung nandun sa loob ng service na yun is yung mga functions na related to each other.
Okay, so last question po from Tubera Ives. Difference between Android SDK and Angular JS. Which framework is better?
Yes. Yeah, thank you for the question, Nixon. Android SDK is more of, ano kasi siya eh, ibang framework talaga siya. So, si Android, Java, so under siya kanya Java. So, pag kinode niyo siya, I've experienced it also actually. So, more on Java programming language siya. And honestly, medyo mataas yung learning curve niya. Kailangan mo muna mag-aral ng Java itself bago mag-step up with the Android. And at the same time, hindi siya single page application. So native talaga. So gumagamit siya ng mga native APIs, XML, At the same time, yun, ganun siya. So, si Angular, uh, basically for web kasi talaga siya. Kasi built siya kay JavaScript. Ginagawa mo si Angular using JavaScript or TypeScript. So, para ka na nagko-code ng web. But, ayun nga, gumawa sila ng mga UI toolkits, platform, or frameworks rather, para yung uh, CSS, HTML, at JavaScript na kinocode mo, pwede na rin siyang i-deploy or pwede na rin siyang i-upload dun sa Angular or dun sa Android app. So, yun yung pinakaiba nilang dalawa. Si Android SDK, ang disadvantage niya, for Android lang siya. Si Angular ngayon, since may native script and Ionic na, yung base code mo na yan, both siyang pwede mong gamitin kay iOS at the same time kay Android.
Okay po. Thank you for that very comprehensive answer. And we do have a few more questions, but since we are running out of time, you can always connect po with Sir Seiji with
Yeah.
he has given po you can connect with him through his website or through other venues po that he has mentioned a while ago. So that's it for our Q&A session. And thank you again, Sir Seiji, for imparting your valuable knowledge with us. And to everyone who joined us this evening, we hope this has been a very helpful session. So, before we close, also, thank you again, Sir Seiji. Now, before we close, we have some announcements. For the next Stack League events po, we have, the next sessions, we have two more in September. First, we have the Stack League Mozilla Philippines Community Firefox Developer Tools on September 23 at 6 p.m. Again, that's on September 23 at 6 p.m. The next one po is the Stack League Workbank Career Session, DISC for Career Path on September 28th at 6 p.m. Again, September 28th at 6 p.m. You can find the registration details on our Facebook page, and we hope you can all join us again in the upcoming events. So, thank you again for joining us in this Stack League Angular Philippines Tech session. If you also know someone who should be a part of the league, please invite them to register now at stackleague.com. See you at the next Stack League event. Have a good night.